All right, good evening. We'll call the meeting to order at 6:04 p.m. Would everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Watch your head. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The record reflect that all council members are present.
Thank you, Michael. Does anyone have a conflict of interest on any items on the agenda? Seeing none, any changes or deletions to the agenda? Thank you. B, public comments. Any person wishing to speak in person on an item not listed on the agenda may do so at this time. Pursuant to the Brown Act, the City Council is not allowed to consider issues or take action on any item not listed on the agenda. 3 minutes are allotted to each speaker. Please. There's a red button you have to push till it turns green. Just hold down for like 1 second, then let go.
There we go.
There we go.
Hello, everybody. Good evening. My name is Jason Tarmino. I'm your local government affairs person from PG&E. And I wanted to come here tonight just to introduce myself, but also offer to meet with any and all of you at different times. In utility parlance, I'm what's known as a single point of contact, which means all of the elected officials and the staff members have somebody to call when they want an answer about something or want to learn about something. I don't have all the answers, or I'm not normally the exact right person, but you don't have to have a Rolodex of people at PG&E to get answers. So that's my job. One of the things that I often try to do is make sure that all of my electeds and staff have their own personal energy policy. And so occasionally I'll come by and talk about something about the utility world or PG&E. And so tonight I just wanted to talk about our PG&E's power mix and how that we are, since 2022, 95% greenhouse gas free, which is on a global scale amazing. And the way that breaks down is about 50% of all the power that we provide to our customers comes from the Diablo nuclear power plant, which is 100% greenhouse gas free. Then it's solar, wind, hydro. We have a lot of large scale hydro, and then some geothermal and some several other percentage of biomass. And that adds up to 95% greenhouse gas free. We also importantly have about 2,100 megawatts of battery storage, which makes a big difference because we store a lot of that solar energy and then can use it from 5 to 9 when demand is high, but the sun's not shining too bright. And that's kind of it. I just wanted to be here and introduce myself. And for those of you who haven't met, I gave the city manager, Mr. Thompson, some extra cards. But feel free to call me anytime. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason.
Hi, my name is Frank Lynch, and I'm one of the directors of the Lake Pillsbury Alliance. And I just wanted to come and thank the council for having their meeting last week. It was nice to see a meeting that was structured to allow the public to talk. I've been doing outreach for the Lake Pillsbury Alliance, which is a nonprofit trying to benefit the Lake Pillsbury Basin, given its uncertain future. But I've been going to meetings for about 8 years, and that was one of the first meetings where it wasn't just the same constant theme of driving home that the dams need to come out. And I really appreciate you having that meeting. The potential for the loss of the lake affects me not just because I'm interested in Lake Pillsbury. I've lived in Palomino Lakes for over 40 years. So locally, it's a significant water source for all of us in this region. It's really like the headwaters. I view it as the headwaters or the control valve for our regional water supply. As someone had said during the meeting, about 2% of the Eel River water, and this is at its peak prior to 2006, about 2% of the water that is diverted into the Russian only amounts to 2% of the total flow in the Eel River system. And without that diversion, in 8 out of 10 years, Lake Mendocino would not fill, and 2 of those 8 years, Lake Mendocino would run dry. Pillsbury provides a year-round flow, a surety for that, and as it's proposed now, they would only be diverting water during high winter flows. About 5 years ago, I asked the then Deputy Director of Sonoma County Water, and this was following the 2015-16 season, we had a very dry year. I asked how many high flow days did you have during that year that water could have been diverted? The answer was 0. There were no high flow days. So ensuring that system remains is very important. You have a housing element, as all of the communities along the Russian River do, that are demanding more and more development. You see it more and more around town. How are you going to serve those people if you don't have that long-term surety for water? I think it's going to take a regional entity to form. How it's formed, I don't know. I'm not blaming PG&E. It needs to take government agencies on all levels to come together to come up with a system to maintain that system. And I do appreciate, again, the City Council for having that meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Just for information, Frank, I know one of our council members tonight is going to ask for a standing item that is regarding the Potter Valley project and water, and it'll be on our council agenda every week if the council says that's okay. So it'll be something that we can discuss every meeting if needed. So thank you for coming. You're always welcome.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else in the audience who would like to make a public comment about an item that is not on our agenda? Seeing none, we will move on. C, the Student Liaison Report. Unfortunately, Iota could not be here tonight, so Vice Mayor.
I will take the Student Liaison Report. On March 28th, there will be a Spirit Day called Animal Day. Then on April 24th, from 6 to 7 p.m., there will be a Literacy Night where students will have fun activities, snacks, and free books in the cafeteria. At the middle school, they have their first track meet where they will complete at the RLS Middle School. At the high school, today the track meet is having their first home meet at 3:30. Also, this Saturday it will be prom where students will be going to the Hyatt Regency in Santa Rosa from 7 to 11 p.m. Lastly, two Cloverdale High School staff members, Sean Geske and Carlos Jimenez, were the Sonoma County Employee of the Year, are the Sonoma County Employer of the Year. They will advance to the state competition. End of report.
That's really huge to have someone from Cloverdale that is at that level. That's really cool. So glad she's at her track meet tonight.
Yes.
All right, we'll move next. Any questions or comments regarding that? Seeing none, move into D, proclamations. D1 is a proclamation for Women's History Month. Councilmember?
Yes, thank you. A proclamation of the City Council of the City of Cloverdale proclaiming March 2025 Women's History Month in the City of Cloverdale. Whereas women of every race, class, and ethnic background have made historic contributions to the growth and strength of Cloverdale in countless recorded and unrecorded ways. And whereas women have played a critical role in shaping the economic, cultural, and social fabric of our society through their participation in labor force, working both inside and outside of the home, in leadership positions, and through creative inspiration. And whereas National Women's History Month provides an opportunity for schools and communities to increase the knowledge held by our children and our community of women's roles in history and their contributions to the development of this nation. And whereas the story of American women is the story of women of all ages, races, and cultural backgrounds who led campaigns for equality and civil rights, advanced professional and educational opportunities, founded entirely new enterprises, and contributed significantly to the arts, sciences, and humanistic causes. And whereas women from every background have long realized that an uneven playing field will never bring equality or justice, and as the members of families, civic, and community groups, businesses, legislative bodies, women are in the forefront of reevaluating the status quo. And whereas the 2025 theme for National Women's History Month is Moving Forward Together, Women Educating and Inspiring Generations, which celebrates the collective strength and influence of women who have dedicated their lives to education, mentorship, and leadership. And whereas Women's History Month is both a call to acknowledge outstanding women we know by name and to pay homage to the nameless women who contributed to our nation and city. And now, therefore, it be proclaimed that Mayor Todd Lands of the City of Cloverdale, in recognition of the significant role played by women whose courage and vision inspire hope and possibility for today's women to make tomorrow's history, does hereby proclaim March 2025 as Women's History Month in the City of Cloverdale. Dated March 26, 2025, so ordered, Todd Lands, Mayor.
Thank you so much. Tonight, a representative from the Sonoma County Commission on the Status of Women was supposed to be here via Zoom. Unfortunately, our audio and video is not working correctly, and they are not able to be here. So we let them know that they will be getting a copy of this proclamation in the mail, and we thank them for their continued support for Cloverdale and always being here to support the Women's History Month. Would anyone else like to make any comments? Seeing none, we'll move into F, the consent calendar. All items under the consent calendar will be considered together by one action of the City Council unless any council member or member of the public requests that an item be removed and considered separately. Does anyone have an item they would like to pull? Seeing none, is there anyone in the audience who would like to pull any of our items? Seeing none, do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
So moved to approve by Vice Mayor,
I second that motion.
second by Councilmember Morgenstern. We'll do a voice vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Say nay. No. Perfect. Passes 5-0. Thank you. That was easy. Move into new business. H1, City of Cloverdale audited financial statements for fiscal year 2023-2024. Is he able, you think? Okay, so we are going to attempt to have, I believe his name is Terry Craig.
All right, Terry, I'm gonna go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
No, to present. If it doesn't work, our own financial officer will take over.
All right, Terry, I'm gonna go ahead and give you permissions again, asking you to unmute and to show your screen if possible. If you can go ahead and do an audio check for us.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
I can't hear you.
Okay.
So Terry, if you can you hear me right now? I don't think so, because we have to go back and forth. So basically, we have to communicate to Terry. Let's go back. Hi, Terry.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
We can.
Yeah, you got an echo there on you talking.
You guys turn your mic off for a second. I don't know. Terry, can you hear me?
Yes,
A lot of echo. So we're going to turn off our audio. Go ahead and start your presentation, and we can hear you.
Okay. Well, good evening, and thank you for inviting me to present to you your June 30, 2024 financial statements. What I'd like to do is briefly tell you about the overall composition of these financial statements, and then kind of walk you through some of the more significant financial items that show up in the financial statements. As you know, the financial statements themselves have several components, and they are the auditor's report, management discussion and analysis section, government-wide financial statements, fund financial statements, notes to the financial statements, and required information, other supplemental information, which is 10-year schedule, and your OPEB plan, and then other reports. So what I'd like to do is really kind of start first with my auditor's report. I have expressed an independent accountant's opinion that the city's financial statements do present financial position of the city's governmental activities, business type activities, major funds, and remaining as of June 30, 2024, all in accordance with accounting principles generally accepted in the United States of America, which is viewed basically as a report. I'm going to start next with pages 4 through 12, your manager discussion and analysis section. That section is hosted by your finance director, presents the city's financial position and changes in financial position and explanatory information. You can read that, I'm sure, at your leisure, discussing with your management team as you see fit. The next section is 13 and 14, and there's two types of financial statements. The net position statement and the statement of activity. The net position is very similar to a balance sheet, and the statement of activities is a governmental form of citywide financial. There's actually two columns there. One column for the governmental funds, and another for the business type funds, which in your case are the water fund, enterprise funds. The big difference between the governmental column and the statement of activities and your fund statement, or the traditional fund statements, is these government-wide statements for the governmental activities, such as like your general fund, revenue funds, your capital project funds. For instance, as if they were corporate entities, because it includes your long-term debt obligation, capital assets, depreciation, pension liabilities, other post-employment liabilities, and related deferrals. I think key points for your governmental fund activities for the 2024 year is that at the end of the year, the city's overall net position of its governmental activities was $65.5 million. You see that, I believe, on page 13. The increase in your governmental activities was $3.7 million. You need to keep in mind for fiscal 2024 that about 56% of the increase in your governmental activities net position or balance sheet pertains to a $2.1 million contribution to the land. I think it's about 298%, very close to that. That is restricted to use forever for basic recreational activities. There is then an additional component of the net equity and $50 million in capital assets. And in the fund equity, the net equity, it also includes $15.6 million in restricted funds and about $48,000 deficit. Now the reason for that deficit on page 13 is that there's about a combined liability of about $8.6 million that is derived from the pension liability, the other post-employment liability, and those related deferrals. So if it were not for those pension and post-employment benefit liabilities, you would have a positive unrestricted net position. That's simply not the case. And that is not unusual for local governments of your size. On page 13 also, there's the column for the net position of your business type activities. The end of year combined net position, that's again the water and the wastewater airport, was about $48.8 million, which is an increase over fiscal 2023 of about $2.8 million. Here again, you have some unusual items that contributed to such a large increase in imposition of your business activities. And a good portion of that, about 81% of that increase is from one-time sources. And then fiscal 2024, that is your capital impact fees that you receive, and also your relief grant that you receive. So those are kind of like one-time events, although I think you may also have some additional grant money coming in the 2025 fiscal year, because I think the grant total was $3 million. So you got about 1.6 from 2024. Important point is that issue about that grants and the impact fees, your actual combined enterprises would only had about a net increase of about 236,000 from operations. And actually that's kind of a net figure because there was a loss in wastewater before capital contributions and transfers. It's a loss of $163,000 in the wastewater fund and $60,000 in the airport fund. Now, traditionally, the airport funds have been hard pressed to break even. And my main point there is you may want to take a look at the sufficiency going into the future of the rate structure of the wastewater enterprise and the airport enterprise. So that those don't, so that operating deficit increase, and if you have to raise rates, then that's what you have to do. Moving on to the next section, which is, get my page straight here, pages 15 to 17, that's your traditional governmental fund balance sheet and statement of changes of revenues, expenditures, and fund balance. The significant items there, general fund, ended 2024 with about a $9 million end-of-year fund balance, which is a positive thing. It was a net increase of about $1 million, which also is a positive thing. Your special retirement tax fund ended the year with about $9 million, and that generated actually an increase of about $413,000 over 2023. Then you have low and moderate housing income from which had a fund balance of about $1.8 million, and that fund balance generated from sale of property restricted for housing. The nature of that fund. That said, all of your funds aggregated fund balance of about $7.6 million. And the majority of that generated from your impact fees, I believe that was $6.1 million in the aggregate fund balance of all of your capital impact fees. There was in the 133,000 unassigned deficit in those funds, and that's generated primarily by the special revenue fund and a small amount by gas tax. Those deficits generally cured in subsequent fiscal years for revenues that come in. Pages 18 to 21, and we want to move over to that traditional combining enterprise for your business. You could see different policies for waterfront, wastewater fund, airport funds. And the positive observations that they all have a positive end-of-year position, which means that they're doing fairly well. They also include all of that remaining $6.75 million financing leads to primarily the PG&E project, and that obligation is carried out exclusively the water and the wastewater fund. And as I mentioned previously, you have some operating in the wastewater fund and the airport fund. And we had aggregated about $2.6 million in impact and grant revenues. The other significant items in the cash and investment basis, the water fund reported a $1.4 million decrease in cash and investment holdings. And that was a result of spending your capital projects during fiscal 2024. Moving on to the fiduciary fund, pages 22 to 23. That is the successor agency to the former redevelopment agency. Positive note there that the overall deficit decreased in fiscal 2024 by about $866,000. It still remains about $4 million in bonded debt that remains outstanding. That debt is funded by allocation of tax revenue county under the redevelopment resolution process. Those funds in the aggregate ended the fiscal 2024 with about $3.3 million in cash and investments. And on an annual basis for fiscal 2024, the city received about $225,000 in administrative those fiduciary funds. The rest of the report, pages 24 to 31, contain significant detailed information on your selected accounts and financial statements, as well as general accounting policies by the city to maintain its records and financial statements. The highlights on page 29, the city ended fiscal 2024 with about $35 million in cash and investments. That includes the successor investments of about $3.3 million. As far as the city itself goes, on page 30, you'll see that the city has about 76% of the total fund is invested in the local agency investment fund. And on a positive note, in 2024, the city reduced holdings in its checking account and moved that money into investment to take advantage of additional interest rates, which is a positive thing. Other significant disclosures on page 32 to 33 talk about the changes in capital assets, which is about $2.1 million, which was significant. And you do have about $5.5 million in construction projects made in the water and wastewater funds. That's the result of mainly the PG&E upgrade project. Page 37, summary information programs, contingencies, and position. Pages 38 to 40 talk about the city's pension plan and its other post-employment benefit. I think the thing of significance as far as those items that your overall plan, that is your entire medical plan, is a liability of about $2.38 million. So what's significant here is that is totally unfunded. And when I say totally unfunded, it means the city is not set any money in any sort of fund to be able to pay those obligations in the future, which may or may not grow in amount depending upon the investment returns at CalPERS on this pooled investment plan that I'm sorry. That was really good. OPEB plan, its liability just increased based on actuarial methods and assumptions because it's totally unfunded. I do share with you that a lot of other municipalities do and have started to fund their other post-employment benefit plans. They generally, for the most part, take advantage of the CalPERS OPEB plan investment pool, where you put your contributions in there, and the CalPERS manages the aggregate investments for you, but everybody retains a separate account. And of course, the larger money over there into a restricted retiree measure plan that can be used for that and no other purpose. But as the plan gets toward funded amount, then the city can draw some of that funds down to pay off some of those liabilities if it's desired. Anyway, moving on, pages 41 to 44 talk about the city's obligation its pension plan. The city participates in a pooled retirement plan maintained by CalPERS. What that means is you make your CalPERS contributions to your employer and employee portions, but they're put into a aggregate pool, and then for all of the cities in California special districts, and then both the general government portion for separate plans for each of those, and then CalPERS provides at the end of each year an actuarial report that shows what percentage of those assets, called the fiduciary net position, and what portion of the total OPEB plan liability pertains to each city. And that would show up additional information in financial statements for your portion of the actual investments that would be held for you for your particular plan. Anyway, that liability, that million, that also needs to radically change depending upon the investments of the CalPERS pool. And you can see that in the disclosures of the financial statements. Pages 44 through 46 is that information here again, successor agency. We talked about that earlier. We do have an outstanding obligation of $18.4 million remaining. That liability is paid down the hands of tax revenues that you received from the county, and the successor agency has maintained a reserve of $3.2 million, which is large reserve required under the refunding of the tax allocation bonds. The rest of the report, 47 through 77, requires separate information, which is your general fund, actual comparison statement, same for your retirement tax fund, and your low and moderate income housing fund. percent scheduled for fiscal year, mention OPEB liabilities, and also some combining information of your non-major funds, which are those funds that previously mentioned primarily consist of your impact fee funds. That's pretty much a summary presentation of what's included in your financial statements. I did provide additional reports to you, one being the charge governance report, which provides to you my comments concerning the conduct of the audit and the overall results. The report and control that describes any significant deficiencies in your term flow, and there were none reported from my perspective. And then a management my observations about areas where you might consider making changes and improvements in your accounting system or procedures. And then also report on the calculation of the city's annual appropriation for fiscal 2024. On an overall basis, for those areas of concern, my assessment is that finance director has done a job of maintaining your accounts and records in a very professional manner. At that point in time, any questions, give a shot at answering if I can.
Council have any questions?
I think that we should run the questions through Susie because of the echo, and if whatever she can't answer, we can do through Terry.
We're going to go ahead and have council, due to the audio issues we're having, they're going to ask their questions to Susie. And if she has questions, come back and talk to you through here. Okay. So if you can just hang on. Okay, we'll do. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we'll bring it to council. Councilmember Marquez, do you have any questions at this point? Okay, I'll go first. So I would say thank you, first off. Better than we were expecting with our deficit spending, so thank you very much. It's not as doom and gloom as we thought, but still it's $450,000 for this year. Us with the 163 in the wastewater, how does that work out? $163,000 deficit in wastewater. How do we end up with that with the water funds the way we haven't broke out?
So the simple answer is just that when we do our budget, we actually account for the transfers in from the retirement fund to as a revenue and an expense. But in the report that Terry has to do, he has to break out the transfers, and the transfers therefore are showing not in the revenue, but they are showing in the expense.
Okay. And then it's probably along the same lines with the airport fund as well.
The airport fund still would have shown a $14,000 deficit. If you look on page 19, I think it is, it breaks it out where you can actually see the total amount. But the airport still would have had a deficit. The airport always does have a deficit. The only way that we would be able to correct that is to do a 218 rate study, increase the rates for the rentals out there. That's the only way that I would know to do that.
Perfect. Thank you.
And maybe a 218 rate study isn't necessary. Maybe
We can bring it to the admin. I'll bring that up.
Okay.
I'll bring that up at a later time.
Okay.
But I kind of knew that answer just because the budgets in the past.
Okay, yeah.
It seems a little bit higher than usual, isn't it? Less than 60,000 usually for that.
Yes.
deficit for?
Yeah, it usually is less than that, but also we usually look at the bottom line number, the $14,000 number.
Right.
Not the total.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Okay, so are we meeting all of our reserve targets right now?
We are meeting our reserve target. Well, let me back up a little bit. We are at reserve right now. However, some of our reserves are to continually each year to move money into them of 5% of depreciation or something. You know, they each have different matrix that we use, but we will be taking some of this money and moving it into, according to our policy for our surplus policy, we will be moving funds into restricted accounts for emergency, for vehicles, for machinery. I can't remember all compensated absences. There's a bunch of them that we move into, and you will be seeing that as soon as this audit has been received and filed. That'll be at the next meeting.
Which answers another one of my questions here. So for the emergencies. Is there any of our funds that are structurally imbalanced, like with the deficits, the ongoing deficits? Is there anything that we're missing here as a council that we should really be paying attention to?
I think one thing to look at is the general fund. I think Terry even kind of touched on it, that with everything, we still have a deficit dollar amount for funds that are not restricted or assigned, or, you know, we have the money, but it's set aside for specific purposes. So we would have to move funds out if we got to that point. You know, if the city ended today, we would be in a deficit. Yeah.
Well, this is something we need to keep in mind when we do our, do you have a comment?
Susie, do you know how much of our current surplus is due to one-time funding, or is it, because the one-time can paint a picture of a certain financial situation?
So the city's total net position increased 6.5 million. That's in the management discussion analysis. 2.1 million of that was from land, so it's not money, but it's an asset. And then 4.86 million was from one-time capital grants and contributions. So we're talking 6.9 million of 6.5. So
there's your deficit.
yes.
So we have some hard decisions to make, and I know our deficit's going to be more than what we had this year as it compounds. So we really need to look at this at our admin and see where we can make the cuts.
Yeah.
Because it seems like the numbers are good, but they're really not. It's good,
Yeah.
but not good enough.
Good on
It's
paper.
better than some, but, you know, it wasn't a 1.2 deficit, but still, we're, you know, with the contracts and everything that we did, we really need to pay attention for next year. Any questions from up here before I give it to the public? Seeing none, I'll open this up to the public. If anyone would like to please just come up here to the microphone, I appreciate you.
May I just project?
No, ma'am, I'm sorry. It has to, because the recording system, it has to be done through here. We want to make sure it's done correctly. Thank you.
So the summary that we were given is not 50 pages long, yet he kept referencing multiple pages. I'm wondering if all of those pages are open to the public.
They're in the agenda on our website, absolutely. And if you have a problem finding it for some reason, you can always go to City Hall and we can get you a copy of it. Absolutely. Thank you. I appreciate that. Anyone else? Seeing none, we'll bring it back up here. Anyone else have any other questions or comments that they would like to make at this point? Wow. Seeing none, is this just a receive item? Let's see here. Review and accept. Okay. Anyone want to make a motion to receive this item? say so moved.
So moved.
There we go. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right. We have a first and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Anyone opposed, say nay. Susie and Terry, thank you guys so much. I apologize to everyone for the difficulties. This drives me and all of us insane. So I apologize, and we're going to get it fixed as soon as possible. And Susie, I know this is a lot of work, so thank you. Go ahead and tell Terry.
Terry, thank you very much.
Okay, sorry. Moving on. H2, Citizen Oversight Committee for Sales Tax and Utility User Tax. Kevin, is this you, or is this Alex?
It's me. Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, council members. As you're very well aware, in November, voters adopted a new sales tax, Measure DD. And then previously, in 2020, voters extended our existing UUT. And both of those measures provided that the city council has to appoint a citizens oversight committee beginning this upcoming fiscal year for 25-26. And there's a few requirements in there. It's made up of 3 people. We made it in the ballot language allows that one committee can cover both of this. If the council so desires, it could be 2 separate committees, but it's allowed to be one. We need to establish the committee, which basically means we'll bring back a formal resolution establishing it and adopting the bylaws for it by June 30th of this year, and then we need appointments to be made by the end of this calendar year. And then what they'll do is in spring, around this time next year, they'll look back on the previous fiscal year to see, okay, what money was spent, what money was received, how was it spent, review the audit, and then make a report to the council for the council to hear and receive as part of our budget process for the next fiscal year. These are both these are both general taxes that can be used by the council for any legal purpose. So the committee is not really closely inspecting, hey, you promised to use it on parks and you spent it on something else, but they're just, maybe identifying trends or making recommendations for the council. They have no authority regarding spending decisions. So under the ballot measures, this is required to happen every 5 years for the committee to meet. If the council desires, it could be set up to meet annually. But right now, we've set it up in the bylaws just based on what's in the ordinance that will meet every 5 years. So these are draft bylaws for you. What we're looking for you tonight is if you have any comments about the draft bylaws or the structure of the committee or any questions, or if you have any feedback for staff on how you want appointments to be made. Do you want, is there a specific recruitment process you have in mind or not? Or should we recruit the same way we do for our planning commission and things like that? So with that, happy to pause and take any questions that the council may have.
Perfect. Thank you, Alex. I appreciate that. Any questions or comments, ideas? See Councilman Marquez, I see you.
Yes, I would like to see as part of the recruiting process a letter of interest be submitted, not just questions that we're asking them, but a letter of interest would be give people an open opportunity to express why they want to be on the committee.
All the above, Alex. Thank you. I have questions. I mean, this is going to be new to me at least. I'd like to see, I guess, questions on everything. How do we go about picking the individuals and bring it to the rest of the council also, and make sure we're all on the same song sheet here when we do the final for 3 people?
So, unless the council has specific directions, I think what we would do is we would advertise, we'd come up with an application form, have them answer questions, provide their background and their relevant skills, post it on our social media, probably send it to the chamber, just so they have it, especially if we're looking for people, CPAs or people with that sort of expertise. And then we could bring all of the applications to you. If the council wanted to appoint a subcommittee, you could have a subcommittee review it. And then the other question is whether you want to do interviews or not of people. We could also hold off on that until, open the application period, and we could come back to you and let you know this is how many applications we were able to receive in the month that we had the applications open. And you might say, well, there's only 3 applicants, no need to interview anyone, or decide how you want it reviewed.
That's definitely, the one thing I don't want to do is I don't want to have it put on just the mayor's shoulders. I think this needs to be a council decision. So I would recommend it goes to the finance and admin subcommittee first, depending on how many applicants there are. Because if there's a big pool, I don't want to sit here and talk about 27 people in this meeting. It would take us 6 hours, and it would probably be kind of disrespectful to some. And so I think it might be a better idea to bring that and then bring, the top 3, top 5, top whatever number candidates that stand out if we get more than 3 that apply. Because as we know, a lot of the times in this small town, we're hunting to find the applicants. So that would be my suggestion. Since anything else before I open up to public from anyone? All right, I'll open this up to the public. Does anyone have any questions or comments about this? Any discussion? Any suggestions? We're wide open right now. Please, Brooke, come forward.
My hope is that you be open to having the meetings at the very least annually rather than every 5 years, because it doesn't feel like oversight if they haven't seen how the money's been spent for a period of 5 years.
I would agree, especially in the beginning at least, that we set it up that way. So I completely agree with you. So it's new to all of us because this is our first sales tax, and we want to make sure we're doing it right for the community. I think that, seeing the nodding heads, I think the council would agree as well. Anyone else in the public like to make a comment? Okay, so you have good direction. If there's any other comments, closing comments from anyone, I see. Go ahead, Councilmember.
I think we can maybe see how many applications we get, and we can make a decision of if we want to send that to a subcommittee or not.
And if we do it that way, we'd have to bring it back here to discuss it again, to bring it back to something else. So if we make that decision now, it makes it pretty easy, because if there's a small number, that subcommittee can say, just bring it all back to council, and then you're going only 2 more times versus 3 more or 4 more. Does that make sense?
I guess if there's that many applicants, it's my concern is that the subcommittee would just be 2 of the council members would sort of make that decision rather than the council as a whole.
How about if we said if there was a multitude of applicants, they
Yes.
pick a top 5 to bring to council?
I think that's fair.
Yeah, that way, because we want, I'm speaking for everybody, and it shouldn't
Absolutely.
be. I would definitely want to have everybody touching this.
Yeah, we might not want to go over 30 applicants here. I think if there's a manageable amount, I think doing it here would be good.
Perfect. So let's bring it to the, looks like, go to the subcommittee.
Yes.
Or if there's more than 5, and then bring the top 5 back. Do we want to have a second touch through the chamber or something like that, like our council suggested?
And we would just use them as a way to, send it to them so they can send it out to their members to
Perfect.
make sure people are aware that we're
Perfect.
recruiting.
Through all the application process. Love it. Thank you. If there's nothing else, you have good direction? Perfect. Thank you so much. Good input, everyone. H3, consider an outside service area agreement to provide domestic water service to Clearwater Ranch properties in advance of annexation to the city of Cloverdale.
Thank you, Mayor, council members. There's a resolution for your consideration, and this would conditionally approve an outside service agreement. This will allow Clearwater Ranch the ability to hook into the city's water system. I think everyone's familiar with what's going on there. In January of 22nd this year, we discussed it, the idea of bringing this agreement forward, and there was direction to do so. So if approved, this is kind of one of their first of many steps. I know there's representatives here tonight. Once this resolution is adopted, if it's adopted, it'll allow, the city has to be the applicant to LAFCO. So that's Sonoma County LAFCO, and they're the ones who approve these outside service agreements. But this is kind of the first step. I know their situation is pretty dire, and they can come up and give us an update on that. There's still a lot of things that need to be worked out. They have to go through the county permitting process and work with Derek on how to get, like, physically get water up there. And they may have an update on that, but this is kind of the first paper step in getting them water. And I know they've reviewed the agreement, and we went back and forth a little bit. They had a couple comments, and I think we're all in agreement now. And the agreement would, again, allow them to hook into our water outside of the city limits. That's pretty much it, unless you have anything, Alex.
Thank you, Kevin. Is the city council up to date and understand what's going on with this? Because I know you weren't on the council at that point, so I just, perfect. Could I ask, before we talk about it anymore, could I ask you to come up and kind of talk about the current situation? Please state your name for our record.
Yeah, I'm Howard Bogert, president of Clearwater Ranch Community, and I think you may know some of this background, but so I might be repeating a little bit, but it was August of last year we discovered extremely high arsenic levels in our well. We investigated filtration for about 3 months, and it's really not technically, economically feasible. We immediately started providing bottled water to all our tenants and told them do not drink any of the water out of the tap. And we've been basically trucking in, we were trucking in water from a potable water company for a while. And in December, when you granted us a fire hydrant meter, we've been trucking it, essentially having our trucks go to the fire hydrant, fill up a water truck, and then bring it to our property. So that's been good. Our water's been getting better. We're still over the potable limits because there was some residual there. We're getting pretty close. Our water tank was actually just barely over last time we tested. So we've been doing exclusively from the fire hydrant since December. One of the issues we've been having with that, though, is that these trucks are basically destroying our roads inside our property. So now we're going to probably have to potentially pay for hooking up to the city water. We're going to have to pay to repave the roads. Last year we had kind of a dire year with all the money we spent for water and so on. So our financial situation is is a little bleak at this point in time. But we're just going to continue on that path. But we, are just paying for the water to come in. It's costing us about $3,000 a month, which may not sound like a lot, but our rent rolls are not that big, and we've been running in the red for the last 7 years. So we're getting close to getting in the black, and if we were able to eliminate this water cost, we probably would finally be in the black. But yeah, so we, as much as possible, with the roads and the water and all that, it's a pretty critical situation for us, and so we certainly appreciate all your help, and as much as we can move this forward as possible, because as Kevin said, it has to go to LAFCO. LAFCO approves it, then we have to go to permits. We go to Permit Sonoma, then we have to get a design, then we have to get construction. So it's going to be a little while, and so each step that we can accelerate will help us greatly. And if there's any questions, I'm open to
anyone.
Thank you for the update. I mean, I knew where you guys were at after all your presentations before, but yeah, I'd like to help you guys out, so.
Yeah, thank you.
Government moves at a snail's pace, but we're getting there, and we're trying to help as much as we can. So Measure CC was a big step. Now this is the next, and I appreciate everyone in our community's support for not only just you guys, but CC as a whole. But the main issue was this, and so we're looking forward to making this work as fast as we can. So with that said, no questions. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to make any public comments regarding this item? Seeing none, I will bring it back to the dais with no other comments from up here. Would anyone like to read a resolution?
Mayor Lands, I'd like to make a motion to adopt and read by title only the resolution entitled, "A Resolution of the City Council of the City of Cloverdale conditionally approving an outside service agreement for 661 through 695 Cherry Creek Road, parcel number 115-239-008, allowing the property owned by Clearwater Ranch to connect to the city's water system and directing staff to file the OSAA application with the Sonoma County Local Agency Formation Commission."
I'd like to second that motion.
Perfect. We have a first and a second. I'll do a voice vote. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed say nay. Passes 5-0. Thank you, everyone, and looking forward to making this happen. Derek, thank you so much for all the work you're putting in on this, and Kevin and Alex as well. Really appreciate it. Okay, we'll move into subcommittee reports. Does anyone have?
Kind of came to the conclusion with the city manager and stuff that we have a lot of repeat stuff on there, and we'd like to see that go to keep it as is right now, the schedule, where we have the ability to cancel if need be, and if we have something pending come up, do a special meeting, and that allows some other work to get done from the city people instead of just going over the same stuff. So I wanted to report out on that, and that's kind of what we came up with for that subcommittee.
Thank you. Anyone else have any subcommittee reports? Seeing none, council member reports.
Yep. So I'm reporting on the Cloverdale Regional Library update. On Monday, March 24th, the Cloverdale Regional Library reopened after a 3-week closure during the first stages of its modernization project. The patio remodel will create a welcoming, flexible outdoor event space with a performance platform. The public restrooms will become single occupancy restrooms and will meet current ADA code requirements. The modernization is funded by the library sales tax and a generous donation from the Claire M. McGowan Trust. Claire M. McGowan taught elementary school with the Cloverdale Unified School District for 32 years. Her generous donation will continue her legacy of building a community of readers in Cloverdale.
Thank you. Ms. McGowan was my 3rd grade teacher. Phenomenal, phenomenal woman. And Brooke, thank you so much for all your hard work you've been putting in. We really appreciate it. This community appreciates it, so thank you. I would like to do a quick report out on our special meeting that we had last week, the town hall meeting regarding the Potter Valley project. It was a great turnout. There was approximately 250 to 300 people that showed up. We had a great panel. We had everyone from the Potter Valley Association, Mendocino County Supervisors, Lake County Supervisors, Sonoma Water, Sonoma County Supervisor James Gore, Sonoma County Farm Bureau, Mendocino County Farm Bureau. It was a very good group of presenters and a lot of good information. There was a production crew there. The production crew is finalizing the video and wrapping it all up, and when it gets to us and is approved, it will be released to everyone to see and make sure that everyone has a copy of it to know what's going on. And if anyone has any questions about this, please ask, because this is something that Cloverdale needs to know more about and make sure that we are pushing to make sure that we have our lifeline of water in Cloverdale for generations to come. We will move on to legislative reports. Looks like we have 3 listed. Kevin, do you want to talk about any of them?
There's 3 letters of support, all requested by Sonoma Clean Power regarding renewable energy that the mayor signed. There's wind and solar and I'm sorry, I forget the other one, but yeah, all in support of the assembly bills there listed.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. City manager report.
Yeah, just real quick, we have a survey that Mike went live with today regarding the downtown streetscape. We're trying to get public input on just a few different areas of what's happening downtown in terms of safety and aesthetics and things like that. So if anyone, you can promote that. It's on our website, and so we just want to get as many respondents as possible. Also working with the YMCA, which we do the agreement every year for the aquatics program. We're going to be bringing that forward in the next few weeks. But we've also been working with them to do a survey on what types of aquatic programs that the city would like to see. So that will be coming out in the next week or so. Yeah, that's it.
Great information. Thank you. Just a quick reminder for all council, when you see things like this and we're promoting them on social media, don't go on there and comment or like on other people's, because that can end up violating the Brown Act if we're not careful. So just err with caution and don't do, it might seem rude, but it's not. It's the complete opposite. So just make sure that you stick to your own and stay off the other council's stuff so we don't violate Brown Act. City Attorney report. Wow. All right, we'll go through council direction on future agenda items. Does anyone have any? Please go ahead.
I'd like to put a standing item on our future council meetings of the Potter Valley project. I don't want to see that, the momentum that the mayor and this council has created with that town hall and all that. I'd like to see it stay an item that we continually discuss or even have a discussion on at each council meeting. So I think that'd be a great idea.
Everyone okay with that? Seeing some nods? Perfect. One thing I came out of this meeting was the airport study. I think that it should go to a subcommittee like the admin committee to get a little more information on that. Is everyone okay with that? Since it's in deficit, it'd be great to see. Okay, anyone else have any future agenda items? Seeing none. All right, thank you everyone for being here. The meeting is adjourned at 7:10. Our next meeting is scheduled for April 9th.